So Patrick, coordinator for the MR2s here at Snetterton, but you've got your race suit on today. Why is that?
Well, I actually race in the Sports Specials Championship with the 750 Motor Club in a kit car derived from originally Toyota MR2 running gear.
And so tell us a little bit about the car that you're racing then this weekend.
Well, this is, we call it a Xenon, and it uses the drivetrain actually now from a Toyota Corolla, which is the same engine that's in the Lotus Elise and Lotus Exige. But originally we started with the Toyota MR2 Roadster engine, so we share the brakes and the running gear and the steering column and quite a few other parts.
And so how well does it go within that Sports Specials Championship then?
We're doing okay. We're still developing the car at the moment. We've got a few bits and pieces that we need to sort out. We're a little bit below the power of the other cars, but we know the reasons for that, and we know it's just a case of us sorting it out. Brands Hatch, the last round, actually managed to lead a race for a lap from starting fifth, but once the more powerful cars worked their way through the grid, there was nothing I could do to hold on to that, really.
John Moore, you're here with the FRS Arrow, which is a new car for the Sports Specials Championship this season. Just tell us a little bit about it.
It's a car that I've designed from scratch, and the intention is to make it a standalone formula with a relatively affordable cost and not requiring exotic engineering skills to put it together. So we're selling a kit of parts which is pretty comprehensive for £12,000, and you need a donor Fiesta for some of the parts that it uses to finish the build. Other than that, you just need odds and sods, nuts and bolts, and you will have a race designed car. And so far we've been out at one race, but we've been out to a lot of track testing, and the performance has been very satisfying. It's predictable. It's got no quirks, nothing's broken so far, and so as a prototype we're very happy with this, and the second car is now being built.
There's two races today for the Protec Shocks Sports Specials Championship, and with the cars from the SR and GT Challenge joining in as well, it's a very full grid. 42 cars took part in qualifying. The fastest of those was Eddie Ives in the Elite Pulse that lines up on pole position, and next to him is going to be Clive Hudson in car number 2. The first of the Eclipses, Paul Boyd, is on row 2 with Paul Collingwood next to him. Red lights are on. It's a long hold though, a little bit too long I think for the liking of some. The lights go out now. A dreadful start from Paul Boyd from the second row of the grid, but look at this, an absolutely flying start from Patrick Mortel from row 7 of the grid. He's made up several places already. Around the outside he will go into Rich's corner for the first time. There is Paul Boyd, who is about 5 rows ahead of him on the grid. I think he's just about past him now. And you can see the great variety we have on this grid, because the number 73 car of Mark Bowd is a Ford GT40 replica, one of the SR and GT cars, but we'll focus mainly on the Sports Specials during the course of this race. And there are 3 classes for the Ford Duratec 2-litre cars. The 1800cc Ford Zetec cars in Class B and Class C covers just about anything else, providing its power to weight ratio is no more than 340 brake horsepower per tonne. We're on board here with Alan Robson in one of the MEV MX150Rs, and one driver out of the race already, I'm afraid. That looks to be Peter Samuels in his MGB GT V8. On board we go then with Patrick Mortel. Yes, there is the number 3 car of Paul Boyd, who was 3rd in the championship last year in the Eclipse, as Mortel goes wide over the grass. Or some of the good work of that great start has been undone, because through flashes John Moore in the FRS Arrow, the green and yellow car, and also Nigel Brown, one of the great stalwarts of the Sports Specials, and previously the Kit Car Championship, in his number 6 car, which is the Silver Phaser. Number 32 going through. That is Paul Cooper, the man from Cannock, in his Raw Striker. As the leader of the race is not actually Eddie Ives at the moment, because a bit further up the road, there he is Clive Hudson. Eddie Ives in second place. We saw him creeping on the start line a little bit there, but it was quite a long hold. Paul Collingwood is there in 3rd. In 4th place it's the Ariel Atom, which is Nick Holden. Then David Caldecott is next through, and then it's Paul Boyd, who has some work to do after that poor start. The green car you can see there as well is the Tiger R10 of Gary Davison. So there's a mixture of cars here, some of them in Class A, some of them in Class C. And Class C drivers aren't actually eligible for the overall championship title, just Class A's A and B that can contend for that. The reason being that Class C is a bit of a catch-all, so just about anything goes, and there's a great variety of machinery in that class, including this one, which is the number 11 car, the Arrow of John Moore, with its Ford Fiesta power plant, as we were hearing from John before the race all about that. So it looks like Paul Boyd has made up one place. He's got ahead of a former Eclipse driver, as it happens. That's David Caldercourt, switching to the Caterham 7 for this weekend, as the MX150Rs, a whole batch of them go across the line with their somewhat idiosyncratic styling. These cars with the MX5 running gear, of course. I think we've got 9 of them out here this weekend. They used to have their own standalone series, but good to have them joining us. Side by side for the lead of the race. It looked like Eddie Ives was going through there to take the lead of the race away from Clive Hudson in the bronze car. Meanwhile, we go on board with Nick Holden now, and we're looking ahead to see Paul Boyd, who's still got quite a bit of ground to make up, hasn't he, if he's going to get on to terms with the leaders. Boyd, and a spin, and that is the number 27 Sienna MX500R, which is David Roberts, the driver from North Ferriby. Here's Patrick Mortel then on his recovery drive, and it's another Sienna that's ahead of us, so that must be number 7 Anton Landon, the driver from Cheshire. And Mortel carries an awful lot of speed through there. This is in towards the left-hander at Murray's. Landon gets a little bit out of shape, and that's going to allow Patrick Mortel to get alongside as they come on to the centre straight, then past the pit lane entrance. And I think Patrick Mortel is going to make it through there. He's standing just outside the top 10 at the moment. There's the number 44 Silver Phoenix of Marcus Roskill, who was the Class B winner in the second round of the championship at Brands Hatch. Victory in Class B in round 1 went the way of Adrian Cooper. It's not been a happy start to the year for the defending champion from Class B, Colin Benham, who was the number 1 on his car this season. Luck has not gone his way thus far in 2014. But Roskill there with Leighton Norris in the Xenon just behind him. Then there's a gaggle of the SR and GT cars, including number 35, which is Andrew Chalmers in the Ram Cobra for the drive from East Grinstead. You'll see that the some of the SR and GT cars, like that Cobra replica, they're very effective in a straight line. As I think Leighton Norris and Marcus Roskill are about to discover, they're a little bit less wieldy through the corners though. But nevertheless, Chalmers just make up a couple of positions there with raw grunt from that 6.7 litre engine. Now here's a couple of the MX150Rs doing battle. I think these are the first 2 of them in actual fact, down in something like 18th and 19th position. Number 75 Kevin Dengate ahead of number 76, which is Chris Lovett. On to the last lap we go then. Nick Holden is doing battle with David Caldercourt here for what is now 4th and 5th position, because we have lost Eddie Ives into the pit lane. He has retired, I know not why, possibly some damage to that car, but this is the scrap then for 4th and 5th places. Holden and Caldercourt, they've lapped therefore the number 47 car of John Potter. You can see the MEV MX150R. Still side by side in this scrap for 4th. Nick Holden in the aerial atom on the inside. The exoskeleton type arrangement on that car compared to the more conventional Lotus 7 styling of the Caterham of Caldercourt, a drive that went well in Class B a couple of seasons ago. And there is our race leader. So on the last lap, Paul Boyd has managed to get through into the lead of this race, and he's going to see the checkered flag waved now. So Paul Boyd takes the win from Clive Hudson in 2nd place. Here's the scrap for 4th going on. The 3rd place man, Paul Collingwood, crosses the line now, but who's going to be 4th? I think it's going to be Nick Holden that manages to hold on in the aerial atom just ahead of David Caldercourt there in number 34 for the man from Northampton. Confirmation of that result then. A great end to the race for Paul Boyd. He set the fastest lap, a new lap record on the way to beat his teammate Clive Hudson, with Paul Collingwood in 3rd position. Further back down the order, Nigel Brown was 7th, John Moore 8th, Stephen Ward 9th and Anton Landon 10th. The best of the Class B cars was Paul Cooper in 13th. Okay, Paul, well done. Congratulations on that win. You really found some pace during the course of that one.
I did. It's fabulous. First time here on the 300. So practice was the first opportunity to try that out, and so in the race it came good. And a bad start, which meant I had to play a bit of catch up. Yeah, it was good.
You got Ed ahead of you and Clive as well. Ed retired, and then you managed to close that gap to Clive, didn't you?
I did. Ed was my target, so when he went off, that was a shame because I was going to learn the circuit from him. So quite gutting, but yeah. Followed Clive and eventually got past him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something like 3 seconds faster, I think, in the race compared to this morning. So is that really just a function of you learning the track?
It's a function of me learning the track. Yeah, fantastic.
And the car seems to be going really well now, both of the Eclipses at the front.
Car is good, very predictable, very easy to drive, especially when you're trying to learn something. So yeah, great fun.
Excellent run of Paul.